Hey guys, I hope you're doing really good today. Today I want to share with you something that I think is really, really important. See, our lives, they're made up of the decisions that we make. There are some decisions that are big decisions. Last summer, Emily and I got married. That was a big decision. That was an awesome decision to make. But maybe like, what snack am I having this morning? Today I've got nuts and a banana. I've made those decisions, and it's slightly smaller decisions to make. But we are all constantly making decisions. Craig Rochelle in his book Divine Direction says your decisions today, both big and small, determine the direction your life will take tomorrow. And one of the biggest decisions that will affect every friendship and every relationship all of us will ever have at some point is the decision to forgive. And forgiveness is needed because I don't know about you, but I know me, and we don't always make the best decisions, and neither do others. And so, to help us to understand what forgiveness is, I want to unpack maybe a bit about what forgiveness is not to help us understand. And so, I want to share with you 6 myths about forgiveness. So, myth number 1: forgiveness is just a feeling. It's not. Forgiveness. You don't always feel like you want to forgive someone. I don't know if you've had someone that's done something to you, or the last thing you want to feel like doing is forgiving them. But forgiveness is not a feeling that we have, but a choice that we make. And so we must start by choosing to forgive. And often, maybe over time, our feelings do catch up with our decision to forgive. But it's our choice first to forgive, then our emotions come later. And maybe at some point in our life, maybe never, the feeling may never come, but the choice to forgive is a choice and not just a feeling. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2, forgiveness is always easy. It says in the Bible, in the book of Colossians, bear with one another and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. What that tells me is that we're encouraged to bear with one another, to forgive each other when we've got a grievance against someone else. And having a grievance, being hurt, having to bear with someone, that's not easy. That's tough. That's hard. And I think forgiveness is a hard thing to do. When we've been hurt or wronged, we feel justified to hold on to our anger or our resentment or our bitterness. But forgiveness, think about it like this: forgiveness is surrendering our right to hurt someone back who has hurt us. Forgiveness is an antidote for us for the anger that we feel against someone. And so forgiveness is not always easy. Forgiveness can be hard, and it's a hard decision to make. And it requires courage and strength. But you know what? Forgiving someone is so worth it. Myth number 3. Forgiveness is always instant. And so, we make a choice and we make a decision to forgive in a moment, but I think we also need to continue to make that decision on an ongoing basis. And we need God's help to forgive, and his help to help us to continue making that decision to forgive. And so maybe right now you're watching this, you're thinking, okay, there's someone I need to forgive, and maybe I want to make that choice right now. But what about the next time you see them? Next time you see that family member or that colleague or that friend, and they've hurt you, or that enemy, or you're scrolling through Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and you see something that they've done or said, you're going to have to make that choice again to forgive, because our emotions come back to the surface. And so we need to continue to choose to forgive. And maybe as well, you're not feeling like you're in that place of like, I can't even consider, I'm not in that place to forgive. Well, how about start a journey today of going on that journey to be able to get to a place where you can forgive someone. You can start that journey right now, today. Okay, so myth number 1 was forgiveness is always a feeling. Myth number 2, forgiveness is always easy. Myth number 3, forgiveness is always instant. And myth number 4, forgiveness affirms the wrong done by someone. Forgiveness is not agreeing with someone that what they've done to you is right, or even saying that it's okay, it doesn't really matter. It does matter. It's wrong. And some of us, maybe you've experienced something that is painful, that is, maybe you've experienced abuse or like big decisions about others that have caused harm to you. And so it's not, when you choose to forgive, you're not saying like, that was good or that was okay for them to do that. It's not. But it's your choice to move on from it. It's choosing not to keep raising the matter again. It's choosing not to gossip about it to others. It's choosing not to dwell on it ourselves. How much of our headspace is taken up by what someone has done to us or said, or maybe what we think they've said. And so sometimes maybe it is possible for a relationship to be restored or over time, but maybe that trust can't be there. Maybe it's not possible to reconcile every relationship, and that is also okay. Gary Chapman, who wrote a great book on the 5 love languages, said forgiveness does not automatically restore trust, but forgiveness does open the door to the possibility that trust can be regained. So the myth was forgiveness affirms the wrong done. It doesn't. Myth number 5, forgiveness is just for me to do to other people. And so, we experience pain or hurt or challenges when other people make mistakes or they deliberately do something or say something against us or to us, and that hurts us. But sometimes we actually make decisions or make mistakes ourselves that we hurt ourselves through those things. And I think it's really important to learn to forgive others, but also we need to learn to forgive ourselves as well. According to the Bible, God has forgiven us. And so if God has forgiven us, who am I to withhold forgiveness from myself as well? To beat myself up about something? Who are we? Maybe it's also time to forgive yourself. And myth number 6, unforgiveness is an option. If you write out the word unforgiveness in Microsoft Word, it has that little red line under it saying it's not a word. It's not recognized as valid unforgiveness. And I believe that unforgiveness is not really an option for us to live, because hurt people do hurt people. If we don't reconcile in ourselves, be at peace, be able to forgive, then it's going to cause us problems, and it's going to cause problems coming out of us as well. Holding on to unforgiveness, holding on to that anger, that bitterness, is kind of like trying to drink poison and hoping that someone else will die. Maybe it's like you've got mice or rats, and in Edinburgh you get mice and rats, but maybe it's like trying to burn down your whole house just to get rid of the mice or the rats. It is dangerous. It is not wise. And so when we withhold forgiveness to others and to ourselves, we hurt ourselves in the process. And so really, unforgiveness is not an option. Forgiveness has the power to set you free from bitterness and anger in yourself. So that's 6 myths. That forgiveness is always a feeling, that it's always easy, it's always instant, it affirms the wrong done, it's just for me to do to others, and finally that unforgiveness is an option. Really, those things are not true. So when we are thinking about forgiveness and how do we forgive someone or someone else, where do we begin with that? Well, let me take you to a verse in the Bible, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32. This shows us where to start. It says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God has forgiven you." See, for us, God's forgiveness is our starting point. See, God's love for you is awesome. It is incredible. It's radical. I think it's more than we deserve. He sees me, he sees you inside and out, and he loves us. He loves you. He loves you. And so forgiveness is an expression of that love. God's forgiveness towards us is an expression of his love. And so each of us needs to know and experience God's forgiveness for our sin. That's why 2,000 years ago, Jesus went to the cross. He died on a cross so that our sins could be forgiven. And he was resurrected again. He's alive. And maybe you're watching this and you don't know him. Today you can come to know him. And so each one of us can experience that forgiveness from God. Romans chapter 5 verse 8 says, "But God demonstrates his own love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." So that even before we were looking for God, before we were looking for forgiveness, before we were looking for his love, God extended that love. He extended that forgiveness towards us. The cross of Jesus is the starting point for our ability to forgive others who have hurt us. Knowing God's forgiveness in our vertical relationship with Him gives us power to extend forgiveness in our horizontal relationships to others. And no one else can forgive on our behalf. It's our responsibility how we act and how we react. We can't wait for someone just to ask us for forgiveness. It's a choice that we make. And maybe we're not able to have that conversation with them, that's okay, but we need to make that choice in our hearts, and God will help us to do that. So maybe you just want to take a moment. Maybe you're on a bus, maybe you're wherever you are, but maybe take a moment to reflect on the significance of the cross, of the forgiveness of God for you. Maybe there's someone that you need to forgive. Maybe you need to forgive yourself. Or maybe you need to experience God's forgiveness for yourself. Why don't you take a moment, wherever you are, pray and ask God for His help. So guys, that's 6 myths of forgiveness. That's where we start with our forgiveness in our relationship with God. Thanks so much for watching. Love to hear from you. Drop a comment. Let me know on Instagram, Twitter. Maybe have you forgiven someone? What would you add to the list of myths? And if you found this encouraging, helpful, of course, share it with friends, let people know. And I'll see you soon. Thanks guys for watching.